Hello everyone, it's the chef once again. I want to appreciate you for welcoming me in your afternoon. I want to appreciate the Cooking School Uganda for making sure all these techniques and styles of cooking come your way. Of course, NBS Ores and all our sponsors. Today, I am in my compound here and I'm going to do something very interesting. I do not grow flowers in my compound. I grow herbs and vegetables. And today, I'm going to harvest from the variety that I have that I may use later when we start the cooking. Now that we've done harvesting, let's go into the kitchen and do some cooking and have some deliciousness. Today we're doing something very easy, simple and very interesting. We're going to do soups. We have a variety of vegetables in the house and we need to do something with them. There's a difference between a soup, a stew, a stock, and many other sauces that come with it. But today we're going to do a soup. And in this I have potatoes. We're going to do a potato soup. Then pumpkins, we shall do a pumpkin soup. We have a zucchini, which one of my crew guys called Suzuki, but it's a zucchini and we'll do a zucchini soup, of course. And a variety of ingredients here. I have red onions, I have garlic, and of course we'll have to season with salt and pepper. I have black pepper here and white pepper. I have some milk, some cream, some margarine, and some salt. So with these simple ingredients in the house, we can come up with something nutritious, delicious, and of course, exquisite. And remember, as always, you don't have to be a professional for you to be professional. Just watch the chef and all these tricks and techniques will come your way. And of course, from my garden, I have some celery here for flavor, very strong on flavor, so use it sparingly. And of course, I have leeks, and I'm going to use spring onions. All this is basically for flavor. Of course, to cook now, we're going to start with a potato soup, and all you need to do with your potatoes is slice them as thin as you can because we're going to strain them, so you can slice them. And of course, after slicing your potatoes, then you need your onions. You also have to cut them very finely because they're going to cook and be mashed and incorporated in the soup. And guess what? The mother of all flavors, garlic. Cut it very finely and very thinly because it's also going to infuse its flavor into the soup that we're making. Of course, that is the basic, but I will also incorporate some celery. After you've done your chopping and all your cutting, then time to go onto the fire. Cooking time. So time to do some cooking, and you might be wondering why I kept my potatoes in the water. The reason I kept them in the water is to stop decolorization. You know, potatoes and bananas and apples, if you left them in open air and they're exposed to air, they tend to turn color and lose their color. So that's why I kept mine in the water. So here, I'm using, too much fire. So what I'm doing is just melting my butter. Now, you could have butter, you could be having margarine, whatever it is that you want to use, it is very okay. So I'm just melting butter here. The reason I've taken it off is because I told you here that if the fire is too much, you can just pull off the pan because you don't want the butter to turn brown and lose its flavor. Okay, so now I will put it back. We're going to saute some onions. We don't want them to turn brown. We just want to extract their flavors out. So we want them just to sweat, cook through, turn a little bit translucent, but do not lose their color. Then, of course, some garlic. We're just now trying to build flavor. We want a cocktail of flavor and aromas coming together. So the butter, the onion, the garlic. Then as it's continuing, now celery is a very strong one flavor, so you have to be very careful when you're using it. You don't want to put too much, just a little bit. We're not going to season now, we shall season later with salt and pepper. Right, so now as you see, our onions are cooked through, not brown, but just cooked through. So now, time to put our potatoes. Now after the potatoes are all coated in the butter and they've picked all the flavors, just a minute or two for them to just slightly start to cook, and then we can add the water and leave it to simmer. So now to this, in a professional hotel or restaurant, they would be adding white stock, but I'm going to use water. Okay. So depending on the size of the cut of your potatoes, that will determine the time it's going to take to cook. But for ours, approximately between 8 and 10 minutes, it should be cooked through, soft enough to be mashed or to be put in a blender, and we are good to go. So I'll leave that. Now, while my potato soup is cooking here, I'm going to work on my pumpkin soup. So, and for the pumpkin soup, all you need to do is get your pumpkin well peeled and then chop it into thin slices. And of course, you'll need almost the same ingredients, if not the same ingredients. Some onions, you also chop them. And of course, garlic, the mother of all flavors. Every time I'm cooking, I love the aroma that comes from garlic. So garlic is part of it. And this time also, we're going to incorporate some celery. So you also have to have it chopped. So we want to slice or cut our leeks into smaller pieces. We are looking just for flavor. So let's get on the fire and do some cooking. some garlic, of course. Okay. So after putting the onions, of course, we've put the garlic now, and we're making sure we just sweat them. We don't want them to lose their color. We just want them to cook through and be a little translucent. Some celery. Like I said, with celery, you need to be very careful. Don't put too much to overpower the other ingredients. And then some leeks. And now that they have cooked through, we can incorporate our pumpkin. So even the pumpkin, we want to give it a minute or two just to make sure it picks all the flavors, starts to cook through a little bit, then we shall add some water. So at this stage, we add some water. So of course, after adding some water, want to bring it to a boil, then simmer it, let it cook slowly, and let the vegetables all cook through, all the aromas come together and interlock into each other. And then we shall cool it down and whiz it into the blender, and we are good to go. So for now, I want to take a short break. First of all, in the break, I want to ask you to get your phone, call a friend, send them a message or WhatsApp or Facebook or Messenger, tell them the show or the chef is on NBS and you need to tune in and see something that he's doing that is interesting. But we also want to appreciate the Cooking School Uganda for making sure all these techniques, these styles of cooking come your way. Remember, you don't have to be a professional for you to be professional. Catch you after the break. Welcome back from the break. It is the chef here in your living room with me. Of course, the Cooking School Uganda behind all these techniques. Want to appreciate them. And we started with the potato soup. As you can see, it is cooking. Our potatoes should be cooked through and ready now. So what we want to do is I want to take this off. Keep it here as it cools down because we are still cooking it, but you want to give it a time to cool down before it goes into the blender. And then, of course, we did a pumpkin, which is also boiling here. It still needs some few minutes to boil, so we'll leave it to boil as our potatoes are cooling down. But in the meantime, I also want to show you how to make a zucchini soup. Now for the zucchini soup, all you need is a zucchini, which is called a courgette. Half it, quarter it, and then slice it into smaller cuts. And of course, you will need onions. All you have to do is chop them very thinly. And then you need garlic, the mother of all flavors. I've been saying this over and over again because I love the aroma that comes from the garlic. All you need to do is chop it very finely. And then the vegetables from the garden. You will need the leeks, cut them into smaller pieces. We also harvested spring onions, so you also have to cut them. Notice the difference. Spring onions are tube-like. And finally, we're going to need the celery for flavor. So you can see in the zucchini soup, we have incorporated all the vegetables that we harvested. When all that is done, we do some cooking. It is the same procedure. The difference is just in the main ingredients. Of course, we melt our butter. And then as it's melting, we also put some onions. And then put some garlic. Then after some garlic, we put some celery. You can use the leaves, you can use the stalk. And then some spring onions. We also put some leeks. Give it a few minutes. We want the leeks just to cook through, onions cook through, all the vegetables we put together and the aromas that are coming from here. Oh my goodness. I love this. So to this now, we're going to put our zucchini. Now these are vegetables that we all have in the house. You either have pumpkins, you have potatoes, you have got zucchini, you have carrots or tomatoes. Anything in the house, following this procedure, you can do any type of soup that you want, depending on what you have or the vegetables that are in season. We're going to add some water. Just like we did with our potatoes and we did with our pumpkin, same thing, we're going to give it time to boil, bring it to a gentle simmer. Just want to, The pumpkin is good to go. Just multitasking and paying attention so I do not lose my flavors. Don't want to cook them out. So I just want to reduce on my fire. As you can see, if you pay attention, you still can see the onion, you still can see the green of the celery, you still can identify the garlic, and that's what you're looking for. You do not want to overcook or cook through the vegetables, that you cook out all the flavors and the aromas. So as this is going, this is cooling down, this will come to a gentle boil and we shall finish off our soup. As our zucchini is cooking here, we're going to work or finish with our potato soup here. And of course, the pumpkin soup is also cooling down. So for that, I'm going to need a strainer. One thing that I need to teach you is that you don't want to put hot liquids into a blender, because if you put hot liquids and you cover, the pressure will make the blender explode and all your passport is going to be messed up. So make sure your soup cools down, make it in advance, let it cool down. So we'll put everything in the blender. Remember how we did our potatoes? We got onions, we got some garlic, put some butter and then sauteed them, left them to cool down in order to boil and cook through. So of course, after whizzing our soup into the blender, so I'm going to strain my soup. Now, straining is optional. You may want to strain it or you may leave it, but the reason I strain it, just in case there are any extra particles or parts that have not been well whipped, then, but if you can see, it is very smooth. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness, I love this. Oh my goodness, look at that. I'm going to take a very short break, but in the break, I'm going to do the same to all my soups. I'm going to put them in the blender and whiz them and strain them. Then from the break, we shall come and finish them off, and I'm telling you, you will love it. But in the break, I want to ask you, call a friend, send them a message, tell them the chef is on so they can tune in. And remember, you don't have to be a professional for you to be professional. Welcome back from the break. Of course, the Cooking School Uganda makes sure you get all these details and everything that is happening here. We're making a soup today, and we're doing 3 different varieties of soups. Before we went for the break, we had finished whizzing our potato soup into the blender, and look at that. Look at that. It's just like ice cream, melted and very beautiful, like a chocolate running. Then, of course, I also, in the blender, whizzed a pumpkin soup. As you can see, different color, very attractive. Then the same I did to the zucchini, just made sure it also is as smooth as I want it. Now remember, the smoothness, or rather the thickness or thinness of your soup is going to be dependent on your choice, how thick you want it or how thin you want it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to finish off our soup. We're going to season it with salt and pepper, and we shall serve it. Simple as that. Now, in the pan here, before I put it back, I want to show you. I have some black pepper. I have some white pepper. And I have some salt. This is for the seasoning. Now, for my potato, because I don't want it to lose its color, I'm going to use a white pepper. It will give me a very nice flavor, but the potato color will remain that nice, beautiful cream that you see. And then for my zucchini and my pumpkin, I will use a black pepper, just for a different flavor and kick and taste that comes from the black pepper. But ideally, you could use any of them, depending on which you have or what taste you're looking for. And to finish off our soup, we will need milk, or cream, or even both of them. Get our beautiful, nice, it's good to go, just as is. So we'll put it back. Now we want to bring it to a gentle simmer. We don't want it to boil. We just want it to simmer gently. And then after, I will season with salt and pepper. So while it's going, remember, we also did a pumpkin soup. So do the same. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness. I'm very excited already. I can't wait. So as you see, it is now warmed up, starting to bring some little bubbles. Now, like I said, it's very easy and simple. If you want it creamy and smooth on the tongue, you can add some milk or you can add some cream. But in this case, I'm going to add some milk, like 100 grams of milk or 100 ml. So you can see now it's starting to be a little creamier and slightly thinner than it was before. I'm already excited. Oh my goodness. And to my pumpkin soup, instead of milk, I'm going to use a cream. But like I said, it comes back to you if you either want to use a cream, or you want to use milk, or you want to use both of them. It is fine. So this is a cooking cream. It could be a single or a double cream. In this case, I'm using a single cream, not a double. So I'll add just a spoon. As it gently starts to bubble and to simmer, then we season with some salt. Now you have to be very careful because the potatoes, the starch, and then some milk in there. You don't want to put too much salt. So like a pinch. Of course, you can adjust accordingly. And then of course, some pepper. So my potato soup, as we speak now, is ready and done. Creamy, smooth on the tongue, the seasoning is perfect. Maybe just a little more touch of pepper. Of course, you can adjust accordingly depending on your palate, depending on your tongue, and of course, what you're looking out for. You want it very hot, you want it just to give you a light, nice kickback after the spoon. So at this point, I'm gonna take off my potato soup. So even to this now, we need to season our soup. So some salt. So this one with the seasoning is perfect. I'm going to spare it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch again. Just take this here. So I can do here so you can see what I'm doing with it. Like I said, you don't have to do all the soups at a go. You can do one soup at a time. The difference is the main ingredient, but the procedure is the same. You season, some salt, and of course, some pepper. I'm going to put some milk, approximately 100 mils. This is going to be very creamy. Ah, I love it. And then on top of the milk, I'm also going to put some cream. Then give it a... Oh my goodness, now I'm lost for choice. I don't know which one's going to be my favorite, but it feels like I want to have a cocktail of all of them. Put this here and this here and just enjoy it at once. Potato soup here. And then we made a zucchini soup. And then we also made a pumpkin soup. Potato soup. Wow. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Now, if you wanted to garnish, just as is, it looks beautiful and amazing. But I got some rosemary here, just to put a little bit of beauty and garnish onto my soup. You can serve this soup with either a bread crouton or a bread roll, or you can have it independently as is, as a starter on your course. You can have it entirely as a meal, because as you can see, it's very healthy. It has the roughages, it has the protein, so you're good to go. Just in case you want to either comment or share something, or you want to catch up with something that you missed, you can check out our YouTube channel, The Chef Henry. Even on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it is The Chef Henry. Feel free. But like I said, we want to appreciate the Cooking School Uganda for making sure all these techniques and styles of cooking come your way. Remember, you don't have to be a professional for you to be professional. NBS Always, catch you same time next weekend.